at the beginning of the season from Chicago Bears fans has been kicked in the nuts, to be quite frank. On today's episode, me and Bob are going to discuss the good and the bad from the Bears game against the Houston Texans. And is the offensive line covering up just how bad Shane Waldron's play calling has been? We're going to get to all that and more on today's Chicago Bears Central.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. Bobby, myself, Haize, we're in the building today. Man, Bobby, I really wish that we were here to talk about a win, bro. Like we were talking a little bit before we started recording, man, and it's just...
You know how I be after a Bears loss, bro.
Man,
even if because I ain't even pick them to win, I still be salty.
Exactly. Like, yeah, like it's bad, man. It's bad when it comes down to it. Like, there's a lot of bad to look at with this team, but in the sense of kind of trying to turn some things around, let's talk about the things that were good in yesterday's game first. The defense. This really is a damn good defense, brother.
Yes, it is.
I went over the stats a little bit in the post-game show yesterday. When you look at the second half versus the first half for the Houston Texans offense, you saw that the Chicago Bears defense played a great second half of that game. Everything that the Houston Texans did well in the first half basically got taken away in the second half of the game. And that's what you like to see. In the first half of the game, for example, CJ Stroud had 173 yards passing in the first half of the game. Only 87 in the second half of that game, and a QB rating of 65 in the second half. First half of the game, they had 40 yards rushing. They had 35 yards rushing. Not a huge difference, but there's a discrepancy there. We got them off the field on third downs more in the second half, holding them to a 25% third down conversion rate in the second half of that game. So the defense took care of its side of the business. And throughout this disappointment of the offense, I don't want to overlook just how good the Chicago Bears defense has been through two games so far.
Yeah, I think rightfully so. You still got to show love to the Bears defense. I think if we keep it at a buck, if we think logically, you know what I'm saying, we all knew that the defense was going to be the strength of the team early on. So we do got to tip our hats off to those guys because Tyreek Stevenson missed some plays early, Jalen Johnson. We talked about that on the post game as well, that those guys, they end up bouncing back and they took care of business for the most part. They just needed a little bit more outside of the from the offense. And they just couldn't do it. I think one of the big crucial moments was the drop interception for Kyler Gordon. Because if he catch that, even if he bobbles it like he did, but if he was able to secure that, he gets up. That's pick six. That changes the complexion of the game. Doesn't necessarily say the Bears will still win, but it would have gave them another opportunity. But sometimes those things just happen in football. So at the end of the day, you still tip your hat off to them because they still got some pressure on the quarterback. Still finished today with 3 sacks. Wish it was about 4 or 5. I feel like they let a few go, but yeah, it is what it is at this point.
Yeah, they did get sacks. Like you said, they finished the day on that. And CJ Stroud, as good as he is, you could tell there was a difference, much like in the second half that they did against the Titans, to Will Levis. Like, he was hearing footsteps. I'm not saying that it was to that level with CJ Stroud, but like, you saw how the Bears are able to contain him, stop him from making big plays with his arm or with his feet in the second half of that game. And that's why I say I just want to give a lot of credit where credit's due, that this defense really did what needed to be done in the second half of this game. But with that said, I'm going to throw it to you. Yeah, you talked about Tyreek Stevenson. He got burnt a lot in the first half of this game, which kind of brings the point that I'm going to bring to you now, Bobby. The zone defense that we run, is that going to be the undoing of the Bears against some of the more talented quarterbacks in the league?
No, I think they're gonna lean on their strengths. That's kind of like what they've always done, and that's kind of like what Matt Eberflus has, at least from early on. That's what he tended to go with early on in the game. Now, if the circumstances change like it did in that Titans game when the Bears was picking up momentum, now he then started dialing up stuff. And he attempted to dial up a couple blitzes for the versus the Texans. It's just that Kyler Gordon did get home on one. I believe he sent Tremaine Edmonds a couple times. Jack Sanborn did get home on one of the, you know what I'm saying, calls. But when guys not getting home, you already know. If you playing zone and you send a blitz and the guy's not getting home, somebody's going to be open. So you have to get home. But I think at the end of the day, they're going to continue to just lean on their strengths. And I just say tighten it up a little bit. You just got to tighten it up a little bit. And if it calls to play more physical football, play more physical football and press. But then that still leaves your defensive line a little bit vulnerable because that means they have to get to the quarterback a lot faster. So you got to
That's a
pick and
fact.
choose on how you're going to attack certain teams.
That's a fact. That's a fact. I don't have much positive to say about the offense, but I do got two of them, and you can tell me how you feel about these. The first one, DJ Moore. DJ Moore, 10 targets, 6 receptions, 53 yards, a lot of yards after the catch as well. DJ Moore, that's why he was so frustrated. He played as good as that you can possibly expect him to play with how we didn't really get anything going in the air consistently enough. But the fact that he finished with those 6 receptions, 53 yards, I like that. And then I like the fact as well that we went and started targeting Cole Kmet. 5 targets in this game, tied for the second most in this game, 4 receptions in this, 27 yards. Not a bunch on the stat sheet, but hopefully that's a sign of Shane Waldron realizing, let me start using this tight end a little bit more.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I will also encourage Shane Waldron to start incorporate Khalil Herbert in this thing. Look, I'm looking at Swift. I'm still on board with him. I'm still on board with him. But sometimes, Shane Waldron, if you feel like you need to change the tempo and see if one of your other guys are seeing the field a little bit better than the other guy that's been currently receiving the snaps, I don't think that's a bad idea to give Khalil Herbert a few runs. When you talk about DJ Moore, I show much respect to him. He held it together as best as he could, and shout out to him up in the post game, pretty much letting his offensive line know and letting the other guys on the offense know we cannot keep up these penalties that's killing drives and things like that. Because even on the scoring drive with Khalil Herbert with the touchdown, Caleb Williams was pinned against the wall because false starts, holding penalties, things on that drive that was taking place. So shout out to DJ Moore for showing some veteran leadership. And hopefully these guys get their stuff together. I don't know. I might be thinking of some changes on my offensive line because Nate Davis, you continue to disappoint.
Yeah, and that's like I said, I didn't only have one good. We start getting to the bad because there's a lot of
I did
bad
have
with
a
this
good.
offense. Oh, go
I
ahead.
had a good. It's not. It's like a half of a good. But
Okay.
I want to show some love to Caleb Williams because that first half he did everything you needed him to do with everything that was presented to him. He took care of the football. He started off the game pretty efficient with, I believe, 5 and 5. You know what I'm saying, on the day. Everything was coming out quick, and based off the games yesterday, he was getting the ball out at like 2.5 or something seconds, and it was like sixth with the fastest release. That's a positive you're gonna run with. But obviously, we about to get to the negatives because it's time to talk about some things.
Yeah, a lot of negative. Caleb Williams in the second half. I'm glad that you did point out in the first half of that game. The second half left a lot to be desired on the 2 interceptions. But you can tell his confidence again started going down. And you got to look at this offense. Sacked 7 times. 7 times. We're up to 9 sacks on our new rookie quarterback. We're starting this thing off right where it left off before. 9 sacks in 2 games from this offensive line. When you look at it, Caleb Williams did get the ball out pretty quickly. The fact is that you still need some time as a quarterback and a rookie quarterback. Like I get it, and I've seen some articles of things that say, "Hey, Caleb Williams is holding on to the ball a little too long." And I'm not one to say that maybe that's not true in some instances. But when you look at when he was coming out confidently in that first half, he was getting the ball out quicker. How much of Caleb Williams not getting the ball out as quick in the second half of the game, making some bad decisions on deep balls that turned into interceptions? Do you put on the pressure that the offensive line is allowing to get on him so quickly in the second half?
Oh, I'm putting a lot of it on the offensive line. And quite frank with you, Steve-O alluded to it last night when you calling out the offensive line coach, Simo. What the hell are you doing? You've been retained along with these new guys on the offensive staff for what we believe was a reason. You guys got to show up because there's some times to where Caleb was trying to step up in the pocket and deliver the ball, and some of it was his fault. He wasn't accurate on everything, but if he gets another fourth of a second, you know what I'm saying? Not even a whole second. He's able to hit some guys that's running up the seam and Roman Dunze on one of the plays I just recently watched not too long ago. So the offensive line, they got to get their ish together and stop killing the damn drives. Cole Kmet pointed that out. We cannot continue to kill these drives with a rookie quarterback. We need something more manageable for this rookie quarterback. We need more 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 1s. And then that's when Shane Waldron need to lean into his offensive line. Their strength is getting downhill right now.
Yeah.
And I believe that's how you set the tone in the game. You just cannot allow a defensive line to tee off, and then because now they get momentum. Now these guys are coming. They feel like they can just charge at these guys. So this is, bro, it's so much you could say about this offensive line, bro. They gotta get it together.
The offensive line is listen. I you know where I went ebbs and flows with it. I said it was my biggest concern going into preseason games. Preseason games, they didn't look terrible, so I started getting a little more confidence. Like, all right, maybe we're going to be reasonable in this season. But now, looking at this offensive line, Coleman Shelton, who looks solidly enough in preseason, looks like absolute garbage so far in the season. He just does.
Yeah, very
Nate
disappointing.
Yeah, Nate Davis has been a total disappointment. It's shout out to you being healthy for now going on almost 10 weeks in a row. But listen, if this is how you're going to play healthy, I'd much rather be able to give you the reasonable excuse of being hurt because this has been bad from Nate Davis. Nate Davis has been bad, bro. There's a video posted, I think Baki tagged us in it, of just Nate Davis plays, bro, and it was bad. Like Nate Davis has been bad, bro.
He has, bro, and it's disappointing. But I say to hell with it. And I understand, like, sometimes when it comes down to players playing on teams, you consider money, you know what I'm saying, that a guy's
Yeah.
making to where you be like, damn, we just got to give him another chance. But at some point, bro, you just got to say to hell with it. Brian Poles, you washed your hands with situations before.
Mhm.
I believe it's time to wash your hands with this situation and put the offensive line on notice. And if that comes with the coaching and looking at SEMO as well, it's unacceptable. You cannot get Caleb killed like that. I will concede 3 sacks last night. I will concede that. But
Mhm.
7?
Seven
Nah,
is
that's unacceptable,
And
bro.
and here we are again with the quarterback for the Chicago Bears that is leading the league in sacks. He has the highest. He's been sacked the most in the NFL. Like if that doesn't wake Ryan Poles up, like Ryan Poles, and I don't know. Like for all I know, he could be on the phone all day today. But to start off the season with your new quarterback, and you look at the thing again and say, once again, our quarterback, our young quarterback that we're trying to quote unquote develop and see what we have in, is leading the league in sacks. I don't care at that point what the seconds or splits or how quick he's getting the ball out. That should not be happening. For a
Facts.
quarterback to develop, you do not want them, regardless of however much time they're having, to be leading the league in sacks yet again. You don't want that to happen. So Ryan Poles is the GM that I've given him credit for up until this point doing. Be on the phone. Now, if you don't find a deal, cool. I'm not going to be one of those fans that like, well, if you didn't get some done, it just means that you didn't try. No, I'm not saying you want to give up a bunch of future assets or ruin your future cap flexibility to just make a knee-jerk reaction right now, but you need to be seeing what's out there because what we got is not getting it done, and this is not where we should be right now with getting so many weapons and addressing so many things to try to put Caleb Williams in a best position and the best environment to develop. We're not doing that if he's leading the league and being sacked. It's just we're not doing it.
Yeah, and I would encourage Ryan Post to look around within his own division. Did you see what the
Mm.
Vikings did versus the Niners yesterday? Did we see what Green Bay did with only throwing it 15 times yesterday, Ryan Post? If you want to take the North and never give it back, you can't have the guys up front not being in position. You can't have your OC not being able to call things out. And it's a damn shame. How does Nate Davis, as a veteran of this league, not know how to pick up a stunt to save his life? To save his life. And I seen some of the plays that's been put out there, Haize, when it comes to Nate Davis. He
Mhm.
literally is in space with 2 guys in the vicinity and didn't pick up neither one of them. Like it's
That's what I'm
ridiculous.
saying. Like it's bad. And losing Ryan Bates when he, performed, and I went over that in the episode, like how well he performed in week 1 as far as just doing what needed to be done. It just sucks where we are right now, bro. Like this ain't gonna cut it. It's just not gonna cut it, bro.
Yeah, I agree with that. I will say the defense is gonna keep them in a lot of games, though. I will say that. I will say that the defense is gonna keep them around in a lot of games. It's
Yeah.
just that these guys got to get the shit on one accord. And do you think it's just one of those? Are we going past that? The Bears got to win or learn how to win type of feeling. Do you feel like we passed that right now in year 1 with Caleb, but now what year 4 for
3.
3 for
3 with
Evo?
Flus. Yeah. I mean, in a way, here's the thing: Matt Eberflus, as a head coach, should understand what needs to be done to win football games. I know he's a defensive-minded head coach. He doesn't really, he doesn't call any of the offensive plays and stuff like that. But I do think this is, even with resetting the clock of getting a rookie quarterback, we know that we're still in the place of evaluating this team by wins, like we should be. We should be in a place we should have. If you're going to replace a quarterback and get all these weapons, you should be able to win some football games. Our offense couldn't get one touchdown. One touchdown would have saved that game, right? It's not to say that the ugly things aren't going to happen. It's not all those things are going to happen. But at the end of the day, like we saw Bryce Young be benched today. I don't want that
Yes,
future for Caleb, right? I don't want that.
exactly.
So, man, I don't know,
Yeah, that
bro.
was just a tough one, bro. Because
Yeah.
you do want to say that this team still gotta learn how to win, but I also think that this team got to understand situational football.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Matt Eberflus called 2 challenge plays, and we like, why are you throwing the flag, bro?
Bro.
And then that's when it came down to the fourth quarter. Now you fighting against time with 1 timeout. That's not good game management. Um, we seen it around the league plenty of times when head coaches don't know how to manage the game. They screw themselves and they lose games that you're supposed to win or have an opportunity to win. If we're looking at some of the best teams around the league, you know what I'm saying? They can have a bad 3 quarters, but they're
Yeah.
not gonna beat themselves in the fourth quarter. The Bears keep beating themselves in the fourth quarter, bro. And I'm not talking about just the first 2 games. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They pulled out last week, but this is what the pattern is right now for this team. They have improved in some aspects, but it's still a work in progress that they need to tighten up. And Matt Eberflus' last point, Haize, Matt Eberflus, you went to the podium today and said, when you establish the run, you don't face pressures like you faced last night. Okay, it sounds good, but now what's the action and the solution behind that statement?
Yeah. This is the offensive staff that you picked, whether and that we have. You got to get it as the head coach. It's your job is everything. It's not just the defense. Yeah, the defense played great overall. As a totality of a game, they played great. Had some rough patches. They didn't play perfect, but they played a great game. But you're not a defensive coordinator anymore, Matt Eberflus. You're not just getting credit for how your defense played. You are a head coach, which means that everything, all aspects and facets of the game of football, come down to you. Matt Eberflus got to get it together because Matt Eberflus right now, the defensive coordinator, you're doing pretty damn good. Matt Eberflus, the head coach, nah, shaky. So, but with that said, last topic, Bobby, before we get up out of here, is we have, and I'll do it like Steve-O's done a great job on the live calls of pointing it out. We've pointed it out in post-game shows and in episodes. But right now, the biggest conversation being, and I've seen Bears fans, I've seen the national media, is just focus on the offensive line. Even some Bears fans to say Shane Waldron's play calling isn't that bad. It's the offensive line. I guess the first question is, do you believe that Shane Waldron's play calling is a larger portion than what some people are letting on, and is the shortcomings of that offensive line masking how bad Shane Waldron's play calling has been?
Yes, and I would say because Steve-O yesterday, he was doing a great job on pointing out the same. It was like an outside zone that they tried to
Mm-hmm.
run towards but behind Braxton Jones on that left side, and every single time it did not work. But when we
Yeah.
seen the Chicago Bears line up, Caleb's under center, and they going downhill, it was positive yards every single time. There's no excuses, you know what I'm saying, for the offensive line. But if Shane Waldron calls a different type of game or kind of adjust to what the personnel was supposed to look like, because if you seeing, all right, but by sack number 3, you know what I'm saying, you got to be like, okay, your antennas are up. My quarterback is getting hit. Okay, now in the second half, they were teeing off and blitzing like it was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the extra offensive lineman? Where's is the big tight ends that you got? You kept Mercedes Lewis around for what, veteran leadership only? No, you
Yeah.
told me that he was going to be able to come in and be able to block. And then what was the point of having all this versatility with the offensive lineman? You know what I'm saying? If you're not going to come in and say, fuck it, we're going to go big boy and we're going to play big boy football. This game is within reach. It was literally a 1 possession game with a lot of time left. It was a lot of time and many opportunities right there for the Chicago Bears to take it. So we do have to call Shane Waldron because he's the leader of this side of the ball. I believe he has the keys on this side of the ball. And I'm not gonna lie to you. This morning, me as Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus and my offensive coordinator, we having a conversation on why are we not establishing the run. I understand I understand you use bubble screens as an extension of the run. Those weren't working yesterday. So if those weren't working, where was the adjustment to say, hey, now it's time for me to lean on Khalil Herbert? Or if Roshan Johnson is healthy, and they getting physical with us, this man damn near be knocking himself out trying to get into some contact and run through big guys that's up front. Put them in. Change the tone of the game. Change the tone of the game. So Shane Waldron, he got to be front and center of the blame. This is his side of the ball. He's in charge of.
Yeah, you got to be, and I mean, listen, and even if you do want to say that not you, but anybody wants to talk about the offensive line, like you're the offensive coordinator, the Bears had 37 pass attempts. You know how many pressures the Texans gave us on those 37 pass attempts?
36.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
36 pressures on 37 pass attempts.
God damn.
It's ridiculous, bro. Like that makes no sense. So that means even in us talking, like I said, and I get it, Caleb played a bad second half, but when your quarterback is under pressure every single time they go to pass, it's hard to have any success like that.
That's
any of it.
And we going back to the positive, the man went 62% with all that fucking pressure. Imagine if he does get some pressure. I mean, if he does get some time. So that's where it lies with him. You got to get it together, bro.
He has to understand how to utilize the personnel that he has better. He just does. You got personnel here. You got a lot of different type of lineups and things that you could throw out with your arsenal, but you're not using them through 2 games. You're not using them to the best. That does come down to the offensive coordinator. Even if you do want to run the ball, if that needs to be the backbone of your offense right now, you're not putting your like we talked about it yesterday. Why are you running from a shotgun on 3rd and 1? That makes no sense.
Facts. And we even had it in discussion. We like, damn, the guy that set the league on fire last year is under center more than Caleb now. And what don't make sense to me that we gotta call out, Haize. At the start of the season, they said we want Caleb Williams to be the point guard. Lean on your skill players, and then when it's time to be great, go be great. How the hell he gonna lean on his skill position players if you're not putting him in a great position to utilize those skill players?
Yeah. It gotta be better ebb and flow. Situational awareness is something you said early in this episode, and that has to happen at every level of coaching. You got to understand the situations, you got to understand your personnel, and I get it. It's a new offense. Shane Waldron alluded to that. I think the day before the game yesterday. I think that was on Saturday, maybe it was Friday. In which you got to understand it's still a balance of figuring out what personnel, when and where to use those guys at. But you've done a bad job so far, and you got to start being better at that now. And let's hope that's coming. Better days, hopefully coming. Listen, no, I'm not gonna say it no more because last time I said I don't think worse times are coming, and we saw worse. So I'm just gonna shut up and just focus and say that hopefully better days are coming, man. Any last thoughts, Bob, before we get up out of here?
I was gonna say, hey, the last positive is that the Bears are 1-1 with some very winnable games coming up. I said we all seen the Colts, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you was in the Midwest, we seen the Colts game. The Bears got an opportunity there. They're gonna be able to slow teams down. They didn't allow over 24 points in the last 2 games. They Gucci. So the defense is gonna give the offense some opportunities. It's gonna be up to Shane Waldron and his offense to take advantage. But y'all keep y'all head up. It's only 2 games, y'all. And for y'all muds that saying Caleb is a bust, y'all know y'all was foul last night. Y'all know y'all was foul last night. Y'all know it's 2 games. We can be pissed off, but let's not overreact. We still got a little time. We can hold people accountable, but let's not make asinine statements, bro.
Yeah, that's a fact. It's 2 games, and out of how bad the Bears have played, we still have walked away from those 2 games 1-1. I got to give them a little bit of credit for that. But we got to improve because we keep having things like that can go from 1-1 to 1-4, 1-5 real quick. And that's not where we want to be at. So Let's hope that those improvements come. I want to thank everybody as well who tuned in for us on our live stream with DraftKings. At one point, we had over 4,000 people on the live stream, bro. That's
Let's
crazy.
go.
That's crazy.
That was crazy.
Yeah, so we appreciate that. We appreciate DraftKings for the opportunity. Make sure you guys are following us at Shy Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We're the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. And we out, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.